a world where MMORPGs have been dying for the past 25 years now, I think, there is only one man who can save us all. The one and only Roach King.
Definitely.
2025 is shaping up to be the year MMORPGs rise like a phoenix from the ashes, with 5 major titles set to release or that will be doing some testing throughout the year. From Rage Chronicles ditching pay-to-win mechanics to Chrono Odyssey's time manipulation combat system, we're on the brink of a gaming renaissance. Or renaissance? I wonder which one it is. Anyways, I've delved into each of these upcoming MMORPG systems, from combat, monetization, and development progress, to pinpoint the potential hits and misses. Let me guide you through this resurgence and highlight the games that actually deserve every little bit of your attention. Alright, let's talk about the 2025 MMORPG lineup. Because let's be real, every year we get hyped for these games time after time that either never come out or launch in such a broken state they might as well not exist. But this time, I've done a lot of the homework. Why, you may ask? Well, to separate the real contenders from the usual vaporware or brokenware. We've got 5 major titles confirmed for 2025. Rage Chronicles, Chrono Odyssey, Ion 2, Dune Awakening, although I don't know if this is considered a MMORPG, and, well, this one's already in alpha, but the phase 3 of Ashes of Creation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, sure, confirmed. Trust me, bruh. But I've been burned before, and that's what makes me understand your skepticism, because we've all been burned. At this point, which MMORPG player hasn't been burned? I don't think there exists a single player out there right now, old or new to the genre, that hasn't been burned like at all, even within their own game that they're playing, which speaks massive volumes about the current state of the industry. Let's stop with all this gloomy stuff and actually dive into each title and see who's actually got a shot at making it to launch. If not this year, well, maybe next year. Starting with Rage Chronicles. If the name brings back memories of the original Rage's pay-to-win issues, you are not alone. This reboot has faced years of development hell with delays and studio changes. So far, what we know is that they're aiming for a Q2 2025 beta testing. But given their history, it might slip into late 2025 or even 2026. The original premise was that they were going to release in 2025, but they delayed to just beta testing. They've promised a complete overhaul of the monetization system, but skepticism remains at an all-time high. You know, knowing the complete history of the franchise, what fool would completely trust them? Currently, they're in closed alpha, with closed beta, as previously mentioned, scheduled to be somewhere in Q2 of this year. Hell, it might even be late quarters like Q3 or Q4. But so far, that is everything that we have. I've been pretty tight-lipped about information. Next, Chrono Odyssey, the time-bending MMO from the Korean developer Pixel. It's generating a lot of buzz, with stunning trailers and apparently a unique combat system that somehow lets you rewind time mid-fight. Or so it seems, right? However, Pixel has never shipped an MMO. Their only other game of similar caliber, Grand Saga, was a mobile title. And scaling to a full-fledged PC MMORPG is a way different beast. They're targeting a Q3 2025 release, but from the latest insiders report, there seems to be some delay. The absence of a scheduled closed beta is a pretty much significant concern of mine. Why, you may ask? Well, how are they supposed to test en masse if there are no tests available for players? Lots of stuff gets past quality assurance until it hits the live service. Moving on to Ion 2, another Korean MMORPG. If you played the original, well, you know NC Soft delivers polished games most of the time. But polished doesn't guarantee good monetization. Just look at Throne of Liberty and the loose end involved within the auction house. Like, what kind of BS is that, man? Ion 2 is set for a global launch in the Q4 of this year, 2025, right? Because you never know, you might be watching this a year later. With regional beta tests allegedly already underway in Korea. So far right now, the combat is a big unknown, with some rumors that it's going to be action combat. But now, onto the important thing whenever NCSoft is involved with anything, the monetization. You know, NCSoft often tweaks monetization for Western audience, not always for the better. And regrettably, we'll have to see how this one unfolds. Sounds good on paper, guys, but I would stay vigilant on this one. Like I said, just look at Throne and Liberty. Good game, horrible monetization. But we'll save Throne and Liberty for another video. Now, on to Dune Awakening, which is probably the safest bet on this list to actually release this year because their launch date is confirmed to be May 20, 2025. Now, I got mixed feelings about Funcom. Yeah, they kind of get the loop right for most of the game. I don't remember them doing any like MMORPG, which then again, Dune might not even be an MMORPG. It might just be like a Conan Exiles with more player cap, which is why it's kind of debatable for it to be in this list, but I still decided to include it because it's a major title coming up. If you're not that much familiar with Dune, I really recommend the movies and the books. Currently, to me, Dune is way more interesting than anything Disney Star Wars has put out, but again, that's another subject for another video. Dune will be featuring base building, sandworms, yeah, those ones in the movie we watched it, and all the spies that you can handle. The market has already been ramping up, with trailers and content creators getting access, however, everything under NDA still. With the closed beta happening real soon, though I don't have a date currently. And unless something goes catastrophically wrong, this one should be hitting its release window. It's not like it's gonna be delayed and still be trashed like AC Shadows, right? Alrighty, that's enough talking smack. Back on topic. Finally, we got Ashes of Creation Phase 3 of their alpha coming up in May. If you've been following this game, you know it's been a long, and did I say long already? Slow burn. Phase 3 is where things finally start to come together. Or so does Steven say. We're gonna be getting the full note system, the guild versus guild sieges, and note wars, as well as the first real test of the game's economy and the early stages of the naval combat system, which by the way, they already released. There's some early previews and it's gonna be testing this month already. Turns out we don't have to wait till Phase 3. Phase 3 of this alpha is currently scheduled for May 1st, 2025. If it goes well, we might see a beta by the end of the year. A little bit of cope here and there. Intrepid Studios has been transparent about development, which is very refreshing. And after making a couple of mistakes, but who doesn't? Communication-wise, they've been very careful not to overpromise and to actually be clear in what they mean when something is coming in an update. When a studio learns, to me, that's a very green flag. To help you keep track, imagine a simple table in your mind. Dune Awakening in May 2025, Arcade Chronicles sometime in that quarter as well, maybe. Chrono Odyssey in Q3 if we're lucky, and Ion 2 in quarter 4. Oh, yeah, how can I forget? Ashes of Creation's Phase 3 for their alpha is due in May as well. If I had to pick one game that's most likely to get delayed, I would say it's Chrono Odyssey. You know, new studio, ambitious mechanics, no beta, no information. It just screams delay. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, monetization. Because no matter how good an MMO looks, or how awesome their combat system is, if it's got a greedy cash job, it might just die within the year. This is where most MMOs, at least the modern ones, crash and burn. Games launch with promises of fairness, then slowly start turning everything into pay-to-win nightmares. Sure, it takes for the player base to drop when they start doing this most of the time now, but it happens. So let's see, which of these upcoming MMOs have actually learned from the past mistakes? First up, Arcade Chronicles. If you played the original Arcade, you know how bad it got. The game was a textbook example of how to ruin a nice looking MMO with the best hybrid combat that I've seen up to date with monetization. They're promising a complete overhaul this time, switching to a buy-to-play model with cosmetic only microtransactions. Here's the catch. Cacao Games is publishing it. And if you played Black Desert, you know how bad Cacao's track record is. Sure, they published some great games, but they also have some serious cash grab. The fact that they're handling both Arcade Chronicles and Chrono Odyssey is not a good outlook, at least if you care about monetization. And server stability, if one of these goes pay to win, it'll taint the other just by association. Speaking of Chrono Odyssey, and Pixel has revealed that they're actually gonna go with a buy-to-play model. That old information about free-to-play, no longer bueno. As for the track record, well, their mobile game, Grand Saga, had a gacha mechanic, but they say Chrono Odyssey won't follow that model. Will they stick to it? Well, we'll have to see. Always have doubt. Never fully trust these companies, especially Korean companies. Whenever they say optional purchases, that's a very vague term. And in MMO land, optional often means required if you want to compete. And the lack of details is especially concerning, since the game's development is already kind of behind schedule. What I want to see is the core gameplay loop. If that is good, then sure, start adding your microtransactions. Make them cosmetics only. This Korean fixation about adding actual real-world currency to their auction houses is off the charts, man. That's the only reason I stopped playing Throne Liberty. Yeah, you can kind of get some stuff, right? But what is stopping a millionaire from just getting into the game and buying all the best gear? The absurd amount of money it would take? Heck, has that ever stopped somebody that's got millions? The answer is a very resounding no. Yeah, a lot of people like to argue, oh, well, if they got money, then they don't know how to play. What happens when you got somebody that's got millions and they're actually a hardcore gamer? Not a good combo, sir. Not a good combo. And speaking of not a good combo, there's Ion 2, another Korean MMORPG, but this time in combo with NCSoft. NCSoft's monetization history is a very steep roller coaster. They've done some subscription models, like Classic Ion, Buy-to-Play, Guild Wars 2, and some aggressive free-to-play stuff. Throne and Liberty, Lineage 2. Ion 2 is supposedly going free to play in the West. Here's why I'm kind of skeptical on that monetization part being fair. Throne and Liberty. Again, I keep bringing it up throughout the video. Even though it's not a bad game, but it's not the best out there, the monetization definitely did not help it. Heck, if some of the players didn't revolt against it, NCSoft would have went full steam ahead. And if Ion 2 is gonna bring that same energy, let's just say, that kind of makes it doomed. And well, lastly, until Dune Awakening, which is the odd one out there. Yeah, Funcom can be a little trigger happy with monetization, but it tends to be fair and mostly cosmetic. Conan Exiles is buy-to-play with cosmetic DLC, and Secret World Legends went free-to-play without becoming pay-to-win. Dune Awakening will likely follow the same path as Conan Exiles, buy-to-play with some optional cosmetics. You know what you're getting. All you gotta do is look at the history of these companies. If you fail to know the past, then you tend to repeat it. Finally, Ashes of Creation. This one's a bit different because it's not gonna launch in 2025. And we have already seen their monetization, which is supposed to be a subscription. And I think they will stick with it. And on top of that, a cash shop with some cosmetics for their boats, their caravans, their mounts, even some armor cosmetics. The cash shop won't just be limited to this. There's not gonna be any loot boxes. There's not gonna be any inventory weight or stamina or like these passes that augment your daily limit of X resource or X other things, kind of like Black Desert style. However, people are kind of mad still that there's so many cosmetics right now and the game is still in alpha. Which I can appreciate that point. I can see it. But to me, as long as it's cosmetic and the armors in-game look good too, unlike, again, Black Desert. Man, whoever ran Black Desert. Oh, the cow. So, which of these MMOs will actually respect your wallet? Based on what we know right now, the safest bets out there are Dune Awakening and Ashes of Creation. Funcom and Intrepid have the best track records so far, and their monetization plans are the least shady. Ion 2 and Chrono Odyssey are question marks, and Arcade Chronicles, I don't know if I would gamble on that. If I had to pick one game that's most likely going full pay to win, I would say it's Arcade Chronicles. Cacau's involvement, the history of the franchise, it's just gonna probably repeat itself. Those Arcade players are something else. How do I know? Well, I played that damn game for almost 6 years. 2025 could either be the year MMORPGs finally make a comeback, or another year, or just another graveyard of overhyped disasters. But hey, what do you think? Drop your predictions in the comments. Who's getting delayed? Who's gonna flop? And who might actually deliver? The more we talk about this stuff, the harder it is for the devs to ignore it. And who knows? Maybe 2025 will finally be the year we get another MMO worth sinking thousands of hours into. Or maybe we'll be back here in 2026 with a new video. Either way, it's gonna be interesting. Thank you for your time. This is RageSkylar signing out.